So good afternoon, good evening everyone, and welcome to this week's session on engineering hydrology life interaction session. So in last week we started with a new module called hydrologic analysis. So in that module uh, we talked about hydrological different types of hydrological model based on different functions of space, time, and randomness. We also talked about hydrological system, and we talked about mostly on linear system model. Uh, with the help of linear system model, we derived the convolution integral equation, and also we have seen about unit hydrograph and as well as S hydrograph. So that is where we concluded with our last week's session with S hydrograph. So what we are going to do in this week is we are going to talk about how we can develop the unit hydrograph, based on different rainfall duration, So this is what we are going to begin our session, today's session with. So this is the first topic that we are going to cover in this week's session. Then the second topic that we are going to talk about is IUH, which is called as instantaneous unit hydrograph. So this is similar to unit hydrograph, but the only thing that changes is the time duration. In unit hydrograph, the duration can be 2 hours, 3 hours, or anything, but this is instantaneous on a particular instant. So when we talked about input function, so we know, like in the previous class we have studied, like there are 3 impulse input, right? And those are step input, impulse input, and pulse input. So based on those input, only the input function will change. So when we know that for unit hydrograph, the input was pulse input, right? Similarly, for instantaneous unit hydrograph, the input would be impulse, right? Because we know that impulse is something that appears instantaneously, right? So only that thing will change and all other concept will be same. So this is what we are going to learn in today's class, that is instantaneous unit hydrograph. And after this we are going to study synthetic unit hydrograph. So this is one of the important hydrograph that we can learn, that is synthetic unit hydrograph. This kind of unit hydrograph are applied to those catchment where there are no recorded stations. So if we are missing some gauging station at particular location and we want to find the peak discharge over there, so at that point of time what we can use is synthetic unit hydrograph, right? So this is like the 3 things that we are going to discuss in today's class. So first we'll go on the first topic, that is how we can derive unit hydrograph based on different rainfall duration. Unit hydrograph based on different rainfall duration. So this is the first topic that we are going to start with. So there are 2 ways by which we can do that, and we have covered those 2 techniques in the last class itself. So there are 2 ways, and these 2 things we have already covered in the last week. The first thing is we can use principle of superposition and proportionality, right? We knew that all linear models are based on 2 principles, and those principles are nothing but principle of superposition and proportionality. This we have covered in last week class, and also we have talked about S hydrograph, right? This also we have covered. So S hydrograph is nothing but it is same as unit hydrograph, but the thing that changes the impulse input, right? So for S hydrograph, the impulse input is step input, right? And also this is based on intensity of rainfall, whereas unit hydrograph is based on effective rainfall, right? That is the depth of rainfall, whereas S hydrograph is based on the intensity of rainfall, that is T by D. So that is the difference between the 2, S hydrograph and unit hydrograph. Now we will see like how we can use principle of superposition and proportionality in order to derive unit hydrograph where there are different rainfall duration, right? So let us see first principle of how we can apply this principle. So let us say this is time t, this is a runoff q, right? So let us say we have uh, an effective rainfall of drs, right? So we are having an effective rainfall of dr. So this is that effective rainfall, right? And the duration for that effective rainfall is capital D. So for this input of effective rainfall, there will be some runoff, right? So at time t equals to 0, the runoff that will be generated because of this would be something like this, right? So let us name this as dr unit hydrograph, right? So for this pulse input, there is a output of dr unit hydrograph. Now what we are going to do, there will be some lag time, right? Obviously there is some lag time. So that, considering that lag time, there will be another pulse input, and that duration of that impulse would also be dr, right? So for this input of pulse, there would be another runoff, right? But there should be some time lag, right? So it will begin from here. So we'll call this as dr, and since it is lagged in, so we are calling it as lagged unit hydrograph, right? So what does the principle of superposition says, that if we have two solution, that is dr unit hydrograph and dr lagged unit hydrograph, so their summation, that is their addition, would also be a solution to this function, right? So we can say that if we sum up these two, then again there will be a new DRH, right? So we'll let us sum this two and we'll get this. So this is nothing but this is the DRH that we are getting because of this two input function, right? Now we know that if we want to find the unit hydrograph ordinate, what we need to do is we need to divide the DRH ordinate with respect to effective rainfall, right? So since we have the DRH, now what we are going to do, we are going to just divide it with the effective rainfall, that is this value of pulse input, and we can get the unit hydrograph. So this could be the 2dr unit hydrograph. Why 2d? Because the input is now d plus d, 2d. Initially we have developed dr of unit hydrograph, then we have taken the sum, then it becomes to 2d unit hydrograph, and by using this formula we got the value of DRH ordinate by multiplying the 2r unit hydrograph with respect to effective rainfall. So this is how we can use principle of superposition and proportionality in order to derive unit hydrograph, which is based on two input. It can be multiple input, but I have taken an example of two input, right? Now there is another approach, which is S hydrograph. So let us see how we can use S hydrograph. So for the input for S hydrograph would be a time step input, right? We know what is time step input. It will go from 0 to 1, it will vary, and then it will remains constant, right? So let us say the input of this is this is the input of effective rainfall, which is nothing but the intensity of rainfall, right? Which will be 1 by d centimeter per hour, right? So for this input there will be some output, right? And let us say that output is nothing but the S hydrograph. So we are drawing an S hydrograph for this, right? So let us call this as S of A, right? This is T, this is Q. Now there would be some time lag, and after that time lag there is some time lag in T hours, and after that again there is some input of 1 by d centimeter per hour, right? So for this time lag difference there will again be a S curve, right? So that S curve will start from here. right? So let us call this as SB. So now what we have is we have two input and we have two S hydrograph. We want to derive a unit hydrograph based on this S hydrograph. So how we can do this is we can first calculate the DRH, and how we can do that by simply taking the difference of SA minus SB. So the difference between these two ordinates of SA and SB will give us the DRH. Since now we know the DRH value, now we can derive the UH value also. How we can do that is simply by DRH by effective rainfall, right? So here the DRH is nothing but difference between the ordinates of S hydrograph, that is SA and SB, and what is the effective rainfall here. So the effective rainfall is nothing but the intensity of rainfall, right? So it could be 1 by D. So it is not compulsory that it would be 1 by D. Why? Because here we are talking about the there could be multiple duration of rainfall, right? This is the case where it would be a unit hydrograph, but we know that this could be unit hydrograph of T Rs, right? It could be any R, so we can say that it could be generalized in terms of T by D. So unit hydrograph of TR could be obtained by this relation. So the numerator here is the DRH, whereas the denominator is the effective rainfall, right? So using this two method we can calculate unit hydrograph based on different rainfall duration. So this part of this we have covered in previous class, and this we have, all this thing we have covered, like this principle of superposition, proportionality, S hydrograph we have covered in previous class. Now what we are going to do is we are going to move on to our next topic, and today's next topic is instantaneous unit hydrograph. So what I am doing here is I am covering first all the concept first, and then I will be taking numerical example for each, right? So first we are going to see what is instantaneous unit hydrograph. So first let us see the definition of instantaneous unit hydrograph, and then we can start with the concept, right? So what is the definition? So the only thing that you need to remember here is the only thing that changes is the time duration, right? For unit hydrograph there is certain time period, right? But for instantaneous unit hydrograph, the word instantaneous itself means at a particular instant, right? So whatever unit hydrograph you are obtained at a particular instant is nothing but instantaneous unit hydrograph. So let us first write the definition of instantaneous unit hydrograph, and just replacing the time duration with instantaneous time will give us instantaneous unit hydrograph definition. So it is nothing but a DRH which is resulting when it is subjected to uniform effective rainfall of 1 centimeter instantaneously, right? So this is nothing but the definition of unit hydrograph. Now let us see the concept here, right? So let us say we have an effective rainfall of D1 hours, right? So for this we'll have since the time duration is very less, let us say the time duration of D1 hour is very less, right? Let us say the time duration is increasing in this order, right? We have three effective rainfall where the duration of effective rainfall for first period is D1 hour, which is less than D2, right? So there will be some effective rainfall which we call it as D2 hours, and similarly there would be another effective rainfall of D3 hours. Now let us see for this input what will be the corresponding output, right? It will give an idea of how instantaneously the values are changing. So let us say for first, that is for D1 hour, since the time duration is very less, we'll say we'll get an instantaneous peak, right? So the unit hydrograph would be something like this. There is a high peak, whereas the time base is less. So we'll get high peak, but the time base would be less. What happens when the time duration of input is increasing? So in this case, the time of peak, right, the peak will reduce, whereas the time base will increase. So for this case, the peak has reduced, so we can call this as Q2, we can call this as Q1 or QP1, QP2, right? So QP1 is due to effective rainfall of D1R, QP2 is due to effective rainfall of D2R. Similarly, we can say that for third, it will be QP3, right? So we can say that when the duration is increasing, we can say that the intensity is increasing. Intensity of what? Intensity of peak discharge is increasing, right? Now, if we remember in the previous previous week, we have talked about a important equation which we call it as convolution integral. Right, we have derived this equation in the previous class, right? So what is this equation? This equation will give us the output for the impulse function as well as the impulse unit. So if we know what is the impulse unit function and what is the impulse response function, we can get the output based on convolution integral equation, right? So this equation is something like this: 0 to t input of where tau is nothing but the time, right? So we know that here q of t is nothing but the DRH, that is direct runoff. I of tau is nothing but the instantaneous effective rainfall of t duration, right? Then u of t minus tau is nothing but the ordinate of instantaneous unit hydrograph at time tau, and I of tau is nothing but instantaneous ER of tau duration, right? So we have explained like what are the terms in the convolution. So what we can do is we can derive relationship between unit hydrograph and S hydrograph, right? And also we can derive relationship between S hydrograph and instantaneous unit hydrograph, and unit hydrograph. So we can derive this three relation. So this relation will help us while we are solving any numericals, right? So the first relation is quite obvious. We have just now seen this relation, that is the relationship between S hydrograph and unit hydrograph. So this relationship which we have just solved now, like this relationship is nothing but if we know an S hydrograph, right? If we know like let us say we have dtr of unit hydrograph, and that dtr is very small, and if we want to know the unit hydrograph for that, how we can do is we can get the S hydrograph for first time duration, right? We call it as S2 minus S1, that is unit hydrograph, S hydrograph for when the time is when the time is 0, and S2 is nothing but when there is a time lag of t duration divided by intensity, that is I, that is effective rainfall times of dt. So this relationship will give us the unit hydrograph value from the S hydrograph, right? Similarly, the relationship between, we can derive relationship between S hydrograph an instantaneous unit hydrograph, right? So what changes here is whenever the dt tends to 0, right, the dtr unit hydrograph which is there on the left hand side of the above equation, let us say the equation 1, becomes instantaneous unit hydrograph, right? So what we are saying is, when in the equation 1, when the dt is approximately, it is tending towards 0, we can say that the left hand side terms becomes instantaneous unit hydrograph, right? So we'll call this as instantaneous unit hydrograph. We are just modifying equation 2, and since it is tending to 0, we are using limit dt tends to 0. So s2 minus s1 of I dt. So what we have done is we have just modified equation 1 by tending dt towards 0 and applying limit. So the left hand side terms, that is dtr of unit hydrograph, becomes instantaneous unit hydrograph, right? So we can write this equation as ut ds of dt, right? So we can say that S hydrograph is an integral curve of instantaneous unit hydrograph, right? So this is the relation between S hydrograph and unit hydrograph. So similarly, we can derive the relationship between instantaneous unit hydrograph and unit hydrograph, right? So how we can derive this is, by now we have to do is we have to take the integration from time t1 to t2, right? So we can say that s2 minus s1 will be equals to integral of t1 to t2 ut of dt, right? And since the time interval is very small, we can say that the IUH can be considered linear within this interval. So by that we means that ut could be average of u of t1 plus u of t2, right? So we can say that if we want to derive a dr unit hydrograph, then from instantaneous unit hydrograph, what we can do is we can take the average of instantaneous unit hydrograph. So unit hydrograph ordinate is equals to average of ordinate of IUH. So by taking the average of ordinates of instantaneous unit hydrograph, we can derive unit hydrograph ordinate. So these are the relation which will be very helpful when we are solving any numerical. We just need to remember the relationship between each of the unit hydrograph, right? Now there is another way or a very important concept which is used to derive instantaneous unit hydrograph. And this is nothing but, this approach is called as Nash model, right? So instantaneous unit hydrograph, we know it can be derived using S hydrograph also, right? But there are different ways also which we can use. So the important one is Nash model. So let us first look at what is Nash model. So if you look at this image here, we can say that it is nothing but a series of identical reservoirs that are arranged, right? And obviously this will be following the linear system model, right? So what they are saying here is, let us say the input is impulse, right? We know that instantaneous unit hydrograph, the input is impulse input, right? So we have an impulse input, that is at any instant of time we have some input here. So the output from first linear wire, that is Q1, would become the input for second reservoir, right? And similarly the output of second reservoir would become the input for third, and this will goes on till Q of n-1, that is for last, that is nth reservoir, right? So how we are going to do this? We are going to use the simple approach, that is linear reservoir model approach, that is S is equals to Q of K times of outflow, right? So what we are going to do here is we are going to take differentiating the first equation, that is S is equals to K of QT. So we'll get the equation ds by dt is equals to K dq by dt, right? And what we are doing here is we are finding an differential equation. We are forming a differential equation of first order, right? And once we get the differential equation of first order, we are going to multiply it with an integrating factor of e to the power of tk. So we have multiplied this equation e to the power of dk to this equation on both the side, right? And we'll solve this equation and we'll get a finalized form like this, that is qt is equals to 0 to t 1 by k e to the power of minus t minus tau by k I tau of d tau, right? And when we compare this with convolution integral equation, we come to know that the output qt for convolution integral, here the output is u of t minus tau, right? And the input is 1 by k, and the input function is e to the power of minus t by tau. So if we look at the Nash model here, we just want to find a standard equation like the generalized form of Nash model. What we are seeing here is Q1 is nothing but the output of first linear reservoir, which is 1 by k e to the power of minus tau by k, right? So this output would obviously become the input to the second reservoir. So we have taken this Q1 as IT for second reservoir, and again we are using this equation of Nash model to find the output, and we are solving this equation. So we get the output of second linear reservoir as t upon k square e to t to the power of minus tk. Now this input of second reservoir would become the input for third reservoir, right? So in this way we can calculate till nth reservoir. So what is important here is this equation, which is for nth reservoir. So for any reservoir, we just have to replace the value of n with that particular reservoir. We can get the output of that reservoir as well as the input of previous reservoir, right? So this is the standard equation which is given by Nash model in order to find the discharge. Now that the next important unit hydrograph is synthetic unit hydrograph, right? So the important thing about synthetic unit hydrograph is that it is mostly applied for that catchment where we are missing some data, right? Where we do not have any gauging site. So in that location we can use synthetic unit hydrograph, right? So here, like they have mentioned, unit hydrograph developed using rainfall and stream flow data on a catchment applies only for that catchment and for the point on stream when stream flow data were measured, right? So they are not applicable for ungauged catchment, whereas synthetic unit hydrograph procedures are used to develop unit hydrograph for location on the stream in the same watershed or to a nearby watershed. So here they are saying what are the limitations of unit hydrograph, that it cannot be applied to ungauged catchment. So in order to overcome that limitation, we have used synthetic unit hydrograph, right? So there are three types of synthetic unit hydrograph. The first is based on hydrograph characteristic, right? So what do we mean by hydrograph characteristic? That is watershed characteristic, right? So we should know the two characteristics, that is geomorphological characteristic as well as hydrograph characteristics, right? So this kind of synthetic hydrograph are mostly known as Snyder's synthetic unit hydrograph. So what we are going to learn is, we are first going to talk about Snyder's synthetic unit hydrograph, and this is under the category of based on watershed characteristic. Then there is another type of synthetic unit hydrograph which is based on dimensionless unit hydrograph, and this type of synthetic unit hydrograph are called as SCS, dimensionless synthetic unit hydrograph. And the third is based on Nash model. So we have just now see how Nash models functions or Nash model work. So what we are going to do is, we are going to cover Snyder's synthetic unit hydrograph, and then we will talk about SCS, dimensionless synthetic unit hydrograph, right? So let us start with Snyder's synthetic unit hydrograph. So first what we are going to do is, this is how Snyder's have proposed the synthetic hydrograph. He has used geomorphological as well as hydrograph characteristic, right? And he has proposed the following. Like there are three different types of unit hydrograph. First is the required unit hydrograph. What is required? The second is standard unit hydrograph, like that he has mentioned that there is some standard values, and last is derived unit hydrograph, what we are going to derive, right? So let us look at this image here. This image will help us to identify the 5 different characteristics that are there in a synthetic unit hydrograph, right? So the first characteristic that is there is the duration of effective rainfall, right? So the duration of effective rainfall is we are talking about Snyder's synthetic unit hydrograph, right? So let us see at the figure first. Look at the figure here. So the first important characteristic is what is the duration of effective rainfall, right? So the first thing is duration of effective rainfall, right? And that is nothing but we call it as T of R, TR. So the TR is nothing but this duration of effective rainfall, right? Then the second important characteristics of SUH is discharge per unit of catchment area, that is peak discharge per unit area, per unit catchment area, that is we call it as QPR. QPR. So this value here is nothing but Q of PR, peak discharge per unit catchment area. And the third important characteristic is time lag or basin lag. We call it as basin lag. So what is basin lag? Basin lag is nothing but the difference between the centroid of effective rainfall and the peak of synthetic unit hydrograph. Means the centroid of effective rainfall. So from here till the peak of synthetic unit hydrograph is reached, we call it as basin lag. We call it as T of PR. Right? Then the next characteristic is time base. So time base is nothing but the total time. This is nothing but T of B. And the last characteristic, fifth characteristic is width of synthetic unit hydrograph at 50% and 75 percentile of QPR, right? So there would be some width. Let us say this value is nothing but 75th percentile of QPR, and this value is 50 percentile of QPR. So there would the corresponding width to this percentile of QPR is nothing but width 75, and similarly W50. So these are the 5 important characteristics of synthetic unit hydrograph that we need to have in order to derive unit hydrograph for another catchment, right? Now let us talk about standard synthetic unit hydrograph, SUH. So when we can say that a particular synthetic unit hydrograph is a standard synthetic unit hydrograph. So there is a relationship if this relationship is satisfied, we can say that the particular synthetic unit hydrograph is of a standard type. So that relationship is TP is equals to 5.5 of TR. So when the basin lag is equals to 5.5 times of effective rainfall, duration of effective rainfall, we call such a synthetic unit hydrograph as a standard one, right? So let us assume the required unit hydrograph, synthetic unit hydrograph is of a standard type. Then what we can do? So using this value, we can calculate the basin lag, right? So that basin lag is, we can calculate the basin lag for standard synthetic unit hydrograph by using the equation Tp is equals to C1 Ct of L of Lc to the power of 0.3, right? So using this equation we can calculate the basin lags, right? So let us say, let us see what are the what does each term means here. So the first term, that is Tp, is nothing but time to peak here, right? That will be in hours. Then the second is L, capital L. So capital L is nothing but the length of main stream. That would be in kilometer. Then LC is nothing but, LC is the distance, like distance from the output to a point on the stream nearest the centroid of a catchment. So LC is the distance from outlet to a point on a stream which is nearest to the centroid of the catchment, and it is also in kilometer, right? And C1 and C2 are constant, right? So C1, it is a coefficient whose value is approximately 0.72, and Ct is coefficient to be calibrated using data from some nearby catchment. So once we have calculated the time to peak, then we can calculate the peak discharge also. So the second thing that we can calculate is peak discharge, and how we can do that is by multiplying this equation C2 upon Cp by Tp, right? Where C2 is also another coefficient whose value is approximately equals to 2.75, and coefficient of Cp can be found out using by some nearby catchment coefficient, right? Now how we can calculate these values Ct and Cp with the help of some nearby catchment? So that is very crucial here. So the important thing here is to derive this value or get this value of Ct and Cp using some nearby gauge catchment, right? So let us see how we can do that. So here we are doing here is we are computing the coefficients, that is Ct and Cp. So for this we should have a catchment which is having some gauge data, and that catchment should be nearby to our catchment whose value we want to find. So how we can do that is, first thing is to check whether the synthetic unit hydrograph of that gauge catchment is of standard type or not. So how we can do that? Let us say what we are doing here is we are going to check if Tp of R is equals to 5.5 times of Tr, right? So if this condition satisfies, we'll say that the synthetic unit hydrograph of that gauge catchment is of standard type, and then we can directly jump to value of Cp and Ct, and we can calculate this value of Cp and Ct using the equation 3, that is this equation, and we can calculate the value of Ct from equation 2. So we can calculate Ct from here, we can calculate Cp from here, since the synthetic unit hydrograph is of standard type. But let us say if this condition here is not satisfied, then how to calculate Cp and Ct? So in that case what you are going to do is we can calculate the time lag by using this equation, time to peak by using this equation Tp dash, right? And Now what we are going to do here is we are going to solve the equation 1 and 4 simultaneously and compute TR and TP, right? And then that value of CT and CP can be computed using equation 2 and 3. Means we are going to solve equation 1 and 4 and we are going to find the value of TR and TP. And once we know the value of TR and TP, using equation 2 and 3, we can calculate the value of CT and CP, right? So now that we have calculated the value of CT and CP, we can calculate the peak discharge of the ungauged catchment, right? So we can calculate by the equation, and also we can calculate the time base. So to calculate the time base of synthetic unit hydrograph of ungauged catchment, the equation is TB is equals to 5.56 divided by Q of PR. So these two are the equation to calculate peak discharge and time base of synthetic unit hydrograph for a ungauged catchment, right? So this is how we can use synthetic unit hydrograph based on Snyder's, right? So there is another approach which we can use, and that approach is based on time and dimensionless SCS method, right? So SCS, dimensionless synthetic unit hydrograph. So this is nothing. Here what we are going to do here is we are going to discharge, we are going to express discharge by ratio of discharge to peak discharge, and there would be another term which that is ratio, that will time by ratio of time to peak to time, ratio of time to time of peak to time, that is T by TP, and using these two value we are going to derive QP and TP. So how we are going to do this? Like we have some dimensionless ungauged catchment. Let us say the value of QP and TP for ungauged catchment are required for developing synthetic unit hydrograph. So this here is nothing but SCS, dimensionless unit hydrograph. So we have on the x-axis T by TP, and on the y-axis we have Q by QP, right? So how we can do here is, so the SCS dimensionless unit hydrograph is based on this equation, that is volume under the triangular unit hydrograph before the peak. This thing, like before the peak, what is the volume under this? So how we can calculate is by taking the area under the curve. So this volume would be equal to volume under the SCS dimensionless unit hydrograph before the peak. So these two volumes are same, right? So we are going to calculate this, and we have plotted two curve here. One is called as discharge ratio curve, and another is called as mass curve ratio. So when we see that for T by TP equals to 1, the value of mass curve ratio is 0.375, right? And also when T by TP is equals to time of base, let us say the time of base value here is 5, right? So for this value the mass curve ratio is 1. So when we divide these two terms, we will get the value of time base. So the value of time base is equals to 2.67 of TP. So for a dimensionless unit hydrograph, the time base is equals to 2.67 of time to peak. So whatever time it is taking to obtain a peak discharge, multiply by 2.67 will give us the overall time to base, right? So now using this value of time to base, we can calculate the value of time to we can calculate the value of QP also. So how we can do that is, we know that the area under the triangular unit hydrograph is equals to direct runoff of 1 centimeter, right? So we have taken the area of this unit triangle, that is half into base into height. We know the base is time to base, that is 2.67 of TP, and height is nothing but Q of P. So Q of P, we have converted it into seconds, and this is 1 centimeter of effective rainfall multiplied by the area of catchment, which should be in meter square. So we have converted the kilometer square in meter square, and we got the value of QP. So this is similar to what we have done for equilibrium discharge for S hydrograph, right? The only thing that changes here is time base. For a equilibrium hydrograph, the time base is equals to TB, whereas for here the time base is equals to 2.67 of TP, right? So from the figure also we can calculate the time to peak. So the time to peak is nothing but time lag, basin lag plus TR by 2. That is the duration of effective rainfall divided by 2. So this total is nothing but time to peak. So we got the equation of time to peak. But we should know the value of TP. So the value of TP is nothing but 0.6 times of TC, and TC is nothing but the time of concentration. And we know what is the time of concentration. It is the average time taken by the particle which lies in the furthest point to reach the outlet, right? So the overall equation to calculate time to peak is now TR by 2 plus 0.6 of TC. So by these two formulas, that is, we can calculate the time to peak, and by using this formula we can calculate the peak discharge, right? So we have covered like all the theory for today's class. That is, we have talked about how we can develop the unit hydrograph from different duration of rainfall. Then we talked about instantaneous unit hydrograph, and we have derived relationship between instantaneous unit hydrograph, instantaneous unit hydrograph and S hydrograph and unit hydrograph. Then we looked into how we can derive an instantaneous unit hydrograph using Nash model, right? So we have obtained the generalized equation which can be used to find the output in any reservoir, right? Then we talked about synthetic unit hydrograph, which is very important to derive the hydrograph parameter for any ungauged catchment, right? So we have classified that into three types. The first that we spoke about, where it uses the hydrologic as well as geomorphological characteristics, where we talked about Snyder's synthetic unit hydrograph. So how does Snyder's synthetic unit hydrograph work is, first we'll see whether the synthetic unit hydrograph that is given to us, whether it is of standard form. If it is from standard form, then we can derive the peak discharge as well as time to peak based on the equation given by Snyder's. But if the given synthetic hydrograph is not of standard form, then we have to make some correction, and we have to calculate the value of coefficient of peak and coefficient of time, that is Cp and Ct. We have to calculate those two coefficients using properties of some nearby gauge catchment. And once we are able to find Cp and Ct, then we can calculate the peak discharge and time base for a ungauged catchment as well, right? Then we talked about synthetic unit hydrograph, that is based on dimensionless, SCS dimensionless, right? So there we have seen like how they are using T by TP ratio and Q by QP ratio in order to derive the equation of peak discharge and time to peak. So we have seen that what concept they are doing here is, they are taking the area of unit hydrograph as triangular, right? And they are going to calculate the volume of triangle before the peak has reached, and similarly volume under dimensionless SCS unit hydrograph before the peak has reached, and we are going to compare those volume, and we are getting the equation of QP. And similarly from the figure we know that the time to peak is nothing but the sum of basin lag as well as the centroid of effective rainfall, and we have calculated the value of centroid, that is time to basin lag is 0.6 of time of concentration, and knowing the time of concentration we are able to calculate the time of peak. So now what we are going to do is, like, since we have covered all the important topics, now we are going to see some example based on each of the type. So the first example that we are going to see is how we can derive unit hydrograph of different duration using method of superposition, right? So we know like method of superposition, it's very simple. Here they are saying is derive a 3R unit hydrograph from 1R unit hydrograph. So they have given us 1R unit hydrograph and they are asking us to derive a 3R unit hydrograph. So what we are going to do is, we are going to take a lag. Since they have asked us to derive 3R unit hydrograph, we have to take a lag. So how much lag? Till we have reached a 3R. So first we are going to plot time in 1R unit hydrograph. Then what we are going to do, we are going to take a lag of 1R, right? That means it will shift, this ordinates will shift by 1R. Then again we are going to take another lag of 1R, right? See, this is the given data. First two columns are nothing but the given data. What we have done is, we have taken a lag of 1R. So we have shifted by 1R. Then again we have taken a lag of 1R, right? Now we can see that the first hydrograph was starting from 0, the second hydrograph will be starting from 1, third will be starting from 2, right? So we have a total time lag of how many hours here? 2 hours, right? So now we want to derive a DRH of 3 hour. So what we can say, that principle of superposition says that if we have two solutions, then their submission will also be a solution. So what we are going to do is we are going to simply take this sum of this 3 column, right? That is 1 hour unit hydrograph when time is 0, 1 hour unit hydrograph when there is a time lag of 1 hour, 1 hour unit hydrograph when there is a time lag of 2 hour. This total sum will give us the DRH, right? So once we have calculated the DRH, the next step is to calculate unit hydrograph. And how we can do that? We know that the unit hydrograph ordinate is nothing but ordinate of DRH divided by the effective rainfall. So here the effective rainfall is of 3 centimeter. So we need to divide column 5 with 3. So 25 by 3 will give us 8.3105 divided by 3 gives us 35, 255 divided by 3 gives us 85. And here we have plotted the 1 hour unit hydrograph as well as the 3 hour unit hydrograph. So now looking at this two hydrograph, we can say that when the intensity, like we can say that when the duration of unit hydrograph was 1 hour, the peak was more but the time base was less. As soon as the duration increases, we came to a conclusion that the peak reduces but the time base increases. So this is what we have seen now also. When I was explaining this concept, we have known that when the duration will increase, the peak will decrease but the time base will increase. So this is what we have seen here, observed in this example also. Then we are going to look at an example of based on S hydrograph. So here they are saying derive the S hydrograph from a 4-hour unit hydrograph given in the table. Estimate the value of equilibrium discharge from the S curve, right? So they are asking us to estimate the value of equilibrium discharge also. So there are two ways in which we can do that, right? So I find this approach to be very simple. So I will be explaining using this approach. So the first step is first entry in column 3, that is first. So what we are going to do is we are just first taking the first two columns are nothing but the given data that is given to us, right? So the 4-hour unit hydrograph was given and the time duration was given. So what we are going to do here is we are just going to copy paste this into the value. So they are saying the first entry in column 3 is equals to first entry in column 2, right? So it is same, first entry in column 3 is equals to first entry in column 2. Then they are saying second entry in column 3 is equals to the addition of first and second entry in column, first entry in column 3 plus second entry in column 2, right? So if we want to find the S curve ordinate, how we are going to do is we are just going to use this second term. Let us say the first entry will be same, but what about the second entry? It would be like the sum of the diagonal elements, that is the first element of column 3 plus second element of column 2 will give us the S ordinate. Then similarly, in order to calculate 140, so 140 would be second element in column 3 plus third element in column 2, that is 30 plus 110 will 140. Then in order to calculate the next value, we have to take 140 plus 168, it will give us 308. Then 308 plus 195 will give us 503. So in this way we will calculate the S curve ordinate. So you will see that after a period of time it will become constant. So that value is nothing but is the equilibrium discharge what they have asked us to calculate. So they have asked us to calculate the equilibrium discharge from the S curve, and here the value is 949. Now next approach is how we can calculate or derive unit hydrograph of different duration using S hydrograph. So we have seen an example using superposition. Now we are going to take another example which is based on S hydrograph, right? So they have given us this 2-hour unit hydrograph and they are asking us to derive 3-hour unit hydrograph. So let us see how we can do that. So we know in order to derive unit hydrograph from S hydrograph, we need to use this equation. That is, we need to subtract ordinate of first hydrograph, S hydrograph, that is when time is 0, before time lag, and SB is nothing but the ordinate of S hydrograph after a time lag, T, right? So here we can say that this first two columns are the given data. First we are calculating the value of S curve addition, right? That is, we are calculating the value of S hydrograph. And how we can do that is, we are just going to take lag of 2 hours. So 0 will be coming where the time is 2, and then simply we have taken the time lag, right? Then the next thing is to calculate SA. Then how we can calculate SA is, first element would be same, second element would be same, third element would be same, right? Because the time lag is of 2 hours. So till 2 hours the ordinate of SA would be same. Now what happens after 2 hours is, it would be sum of second element, or we are going to just simply add. We are going to simply add 2R unit hydrograph plus S hydrographs. It will give us the value of 55, 65, 25, 90. So we are going to take the add. Then SB is nothing but we are just going to take a time lag of TR, that is 1 hour, right? And then we are going to calculate the difference between SA and SB, that is SA minus SB. So now that we know the difference between SA and SB, the next step is to divide it by T by D. So first we need to calculate here what is T and D, right? So T is the hydrograph, which the T is the R of unit hydrograph which is required, that is we require 3R unit hydrograph. So T is 3 and D is the duration of hydrograph that is given to us. So the duration of hydrograph given to us was 2. So 3 by 2 is 1.5. So what we are going to do is we are going to divide this column SA minus SB, each value by 1.5, and that will give us 3R unit hydrograph, right? So this is how we can calculate NR unit hydrograph from a NR unit hydrograph given in the table using S hydrograph method, right? After this we have seen instantaneous unit hydrograph, so we'll see some example based on instantaneous unit hydrograph also. So the first example is based on Nash model. So if we are looking into Nash model, so we should remember the generalized equation of Nash model. So this is the generalized equation where gamma function is there, gamma of n, which means n minus 1 factorial, right? So this is the generalized form. So let us see what values they have given to us. They have given us the value of K, that is 6R, n equals to 4, and catchment area is given to us. They are asking us to derive the instantaneous unit hydrograph, peak discharge and time to peak, right? So we can calculate peak discharge by this equation QP. So this is the generalized equation where K is 6 hours, N is 4, right? So now how we can do that is, we have taken random time TP, right? So that time in hour is nothing but we have taken 28 hours. We can take any hours that we want. Then we have calculated the ratio of T by 6, that is T by K. Then what we are going to do, we are going to calculate the value of e to the power of T minus K. So we have calculated that value. Then we are going to calculate the value of T by K to the power of 6. And then we are going to calculate the value of instantaneous unit hydrograph by multiplying the value of all the terms, right, with respect to 0.027. Since we have got the instantaneous ordinate, but these values are in centimeter per hour, so we need to convert into meter cube per second. So how we can do that is by multiplying the catchment area and converting it into meter square per hour and multiplying it with effective rainfall, right? So this value of instantaneous ordinates are nothing but the value of IUH that we got And if we look at the peak discharge value, so the peak discharge is occurring at 18 hours. So we can say that the time to peak is 18 hours and peak discharge is 41.49 hours. So this is how we can use Nash model to derive IUH. Then there is another approach of deriving unit hydrograph and DRH from instantaneous unit hydrograph, right? So here they are saying we have an instantaneous unit hydrograph with us, and they are asking us to find a 3-hour unit hydrograph and a direct runoff hydrograph caused due to effective rainfall hydrograph consisting of ER pulses of 2 centimeter and 5 centimeter at an interval of 2 hours, right? So first thing is we need to derive 3-hour unit hydrograph from an instantaneous unit hydrograph. So we know the value of instantaneous unit hydrograph, right? So if you look at this thing here, this thing is nothing but the relationship between instantaneous unit hydrograph and unit hydrograph. So if we want to derive unit hydrograph, what we are going to do is we are going to take the average of ordinates of instantaneous unit hydrograph. So this is the ordinate of unit hydrograph. We have lagged it by 1 hour. Then we have got the 1 hour unit hydrograph. How we got the 1 hour unit hydrograph? By taking the average of these two. So the 10 plus 2 divided by 10 plus 0 divided by 2 will give us 5. 30 plus 10 divided by 2 will give us 20. So this is how we got 1 hour unit hydrograph. But they have asked us to calculate 3 hour unit hydrograph. So again what we are going to do, we are going to lag it by 2 times. Right, same thing that we have done in previous question. Now we are going to take the summation of this thing. So it will give us the DRH due to effective rainfall by 3 centimeter. So since we know the DRH due to 3 centimeter excess rainfall, so we can calculate unit hydrograph also by dividing this column by 3. Here. So when we divide column 7 by column by 3, because 3 centimeter excess rainfall is given to us, we will get the ordinate of 3 hour unit hydrograph. So this is the first term that they have asked us to calculate, that is 3 hour unit hydrograph from instantaneous unit hydrograph, right? Now they are asking us to derive direct runoff hydrograph when the excess rainfall pulses is of 2 centimeter and 5 centimeter at an interval of 2 hours. So what we are going to do here is we are going to derive DRH due to 2 centimeter excess rainfall, right? So how we can do that? So what we are going to do here is we have 3 hour unit hydrograph, right? So for this 3 hour unit hydrograph, we want to derive a DRH of 2 hour unit 3 hour unit hydrograph when the excess rainfall is 2 centimeter. So we know the unit hydrograph ordinate, we want to calculate DRH. So we can multiply the value of unit hydrograph with excess rainfall of 2 centimeter. So we are going to multiply column 8 with 2 will give us the value of DRH due to 2 centimeter excess rainfall, right? Now we want to calculate DRH due to 5 centimeter of excess rainfall, but there is a time interval of 2. So we know the value of unit hydrograph, we are going to multiply it with 5, but there should be a time interval of 2, and that will give us the column 10. And if we want to calculate the total DRH, then we'll sum the column 9 and 10, it will give us the value of total DRH. And now we can plot the value of unit hydrograph and DRH, right? So the green plot will show us the given data, that is instantaneous unit hydrograph. Then the red plot is what we have found, that is 3 hour unit hydrograph, and the blue curve shows the DRH that we have plotted for the condition that they have asked, when the excess rainfall is 2 centimeter and excess rainfall is 5 centimeter at an interval of 2 hours. So these are few examples based on IUH. Now we have few examples that are based on the concept of synthetic unit hydrograph also, right? So the first example that they have given here is we have two watershed, like the watershed A is the gauge watershed and watershed B is the ungauged watershed, for which we want to find the 5 hour synthetic unit hydrograph based on Snyder's method, right? So what values do we have here is we have basin lag here, that is TP, we have peak discharge QP, we have area. So if we divide the value of peak discharge with A, it will give us the characteristic which is called as peak discharge per unit catchment area. Then we have the overall length of main stream, that is capital N, and also the distance between the outlet as well as the center of the catchment, that is LC. All are in kilometer, that is the standard unit. And also we know the duration of rainfall is 10 hours, that is TR is 10. And for the ungauged catchment, that is B, we have the characteristics of geomorphological characteristics. If we know the value of coefficient, that is CT and CP, we can calculate the value of hydrologic characteristics, right? So how we are going to do that? The first thing is we have written all the given data that we have in terms of watershed A and watershed B, right? So the first thing here is to calculate, to check whether the given watershed A follows the standard unit hydrograph or not. So for that, the equation is TP should be equals to 5.5 times of TR, right? So if we use this equation and calculate the basin lag TP, we are getting the answer as 55 hours, which is not matching the given data. So in the given data for watershed A, the time lag, basin time lag was 35 hours, but when we are checking it, it is coming 55 hours. So from this we can say that the unit hydrograph of watershed A is of not a standard time. So what we can do, we can calculate the basin time lag. We have to make some changes in order to make this 55 hours approximately or near to 35 hours. So we are making this correction by this equation, 22 by 21 times of basin time lag that was given to us minus duration of rainfall divided by 4. And the derivation of this equation we can see in the, we have seen in the theoretical class, right? So this is the equation that we have used, and we have made the correction to this basin time lag of 55 hours, and it comes out to be around 34 hours, right? So this is the updated time basin time lag, that is 34.048 hours. Now using this TP, we can calculate the value of two coefficients, that is CT and CP. So we know this equation, we can calculate the value of CT, and also by using this equation of CP, we can calculate the value of coefficient of CP. So for here we need to calculate the parameter, that is discharge per unit area. So we have calculated that value, discharge per unit area, and we are going to substitute it here, and we got the value of CP. So this is the value of CP and CT that will be same for both the catchment, right? So this same value we are going to substitute when we are going to calculate the peak discharge, time peak, and basin time lag for watershed B. So now we are coming into the watershed B, which is the required unit hydrograph, right? So here we are going to calculate the value of TPR, right? So that value of TPR is 30.4148 hours, right? How it comes? Like we know this equation here. This equation, from this equation we are going to calculate TP. The only thing that changes for watershed B is the length of mainstream and LC. Now that we got the value of TPR, we'll again check whether the value is following the standard uniform hydrograph or not. If it is following the standard, we are going to take the same value, or else we'll make the correction, right? So we have checked, like this value is not coming to be same, it is coming to be 5.48 hours, right? So what we are going to do here is we are going to make some correction. So that correction is nothing but T dash of PR. So that T dash of PR comes out to be 30.2, that is the time, updated time to peak. Now we are going to calculate the peak discharge, but here the important thing to remember here is we are not using the updated peak time, we are using the time peak before itself, what we had. So we got the value of QP here, that is peak discharge. Since we know the value of peak discharge, now we can calculate the peak runoff per unit area for the required SUH. So when we are calculating it for the required SUH, at that time we have to use the updated value of time to peak. So this is the peak discharge value that was required for the synthetic unit hydrograph, and we are also calculating the time to time base. So time base is nothing but 5.56 times of QPR. So we got the value of time base, and if we want to calculate the peak discharge value, we have to multiply this value with the area of the catchment. So the area of catchment is given to be 2000 for watershed B. So we have multiplied it with the value of watershed and we got the value of peak discharge QP. Then we can calculate the width of Snyder synthetic unit hydrograph also. We know the value of QPR and QPR value. We can substitute that in this equation of W75 and W50 and we can calculate the value of width of Snyder synthetic unit hydrograph and we can plot the same. Here we have plotted it. So this is width of 75R, this is width of 50R and we have plotted it here. Now there is another example which is based on SCS dimensionless synthetic unit hydrograph, right? So for dimensionless synthetic hydrograph we have two equations. First equation is used to calculate the peak discharge and another is used to calculate the time to peak, right? So the equation for time to peak is nothing but duration of rainfall by 2 plus time of concentration, right? So in this question time of concentration is 5 hours and duration of rainfall is 30 minutes, that is 0.5 hours. So we can calculate time to peak. Once we know the value of time to peak, we can calculate the time to base, which is equals to 2.6 times of time to peak, and then we can calculate the value of peak discharge as 2.08 area by time to peak. So this is how we can use the second approach, that is unit hydrograph using SCS dimensionless synthetic unit hydrograph. So these are all the numericals that are there in this week's session, and also then now we can solve few practice questions. So if we solve this practice question, we could be able to solve the numericals that are given in the assignment also, right? So the first question here says that so the question number 1 here said that for a basin area of 5 km square, the time of concentration TC is 1.5 hour, 25 hour, right? And they are saying for 1 hour triangular synthetic hydrograph, the time to peak or time to rise is. So the duration of rainfall is 1 hour. And they are asking us to calculate TP, right? So this is a new question based on synthetic unit hydrograph, that is SCS dimensionless synthetic unit hydrograph. So for that we know the equation of time to peak. So time to peak is nothing but the equation for time to peak is TR by 2 plus 0.6 times of TC, right? So we know the value of TR here, the duration of rainfall is 1 hour, so 1 by 2 plus time of concentration is 1.25 hours. Right, so we know the value of area, we know the value of time of concentration, we know the value of duration of rainfall. So we have this formula with us which is used to find the time to peak. All we are going to do is substitute the value and we can get the value of time to peak. Then we can see in the next question they are saying what if all these values are same and we are asked to calculate the peak discharge. So keeping all these equation values same, conditions same, they are asking us to calculate the peak discharge also, right? So we know that the peak discharge is nothing but 2.08 times of area by time to peak, right? So we know the value of area, the value of area is 5 kilometer here. So we need to calculate this value of TP and we need to substitute here. So we'll get the value of QP, right? Then in the next question they are saying for the same catchment what would be the value of time to base, right? So we know for SCS dimensionless curve the time to base is 2.67 times of time to peak. So again we are going to substitute this value of time to peak here and we'll get the value of time to base. Right, so the first three questions are based on SCS dimensionless synthetic unit hydrograph, right? Now we can see next question, that is question number 4 and question number 5. This both questions are based on Snyder's synthetic unit hydrograph, right? So now we have seen this example of Snyder's synthetic unit hydrograph. So using that example we can solve this equation 4 and question 5. So let us solve question 4. So question 4, they are saying watershed A is having 2R unit hydrograph derived from the observed rainfall and runoff of an isolated storm on its following characteristic. So they are saying the basin lag is 24 hours. Right, so this is about watershed A. So for watershed A, the basin lag is 24 hours, peak discharge is 50, area is 700, L and LC is given. And for watershed B, which is hydrologically similar to watershed A, has following characteristic, that is area, length and LC changes. We need to find the peak discharge of this synthetic unit hydrograph or 4-hour synthetic unit hydrograph using Snyder's method. So the first thing that is important is we need to check whether the derived unit hydrograph. So first what we are going to look into watershed A, right? And we are going to first see whether it is of the standard, it is of the form of standard unit hydrograph or not. So for that the equation is Tp is equals to 5.5 times of Tr, right? So if we use this equation, we are getting the value of 5.5 and the duration of rainfall is 2 hours. So it is 11 hours. But the basin time lag that was given to us was 24 hours. So we can say that 24 is not equals to 11. That means this is not following the standard form. So now what we are going to do is we are going to make some correction into the time of basin time lag, that is 22 by 21 of TNPR minus TNR divided by 4, right? So 22 by 21, TNPR is 24 and time of rainfall is 2 by 4. So this gives us the value of 24.61 hours. So this is the adjusted value of time to peak. Since now we know this value and we know the geomorphological characteristics of watershed A, we can calculate the coefficients of CT and CP, right? So we can calculate the coefficient of CT by using the formula of TP divided by 0.7 L into LC of 0.3. So TP is 24.61 divided by 0.75, 30 into 15 raised to 0.3. So this will give us the value of first coefficient, that is CT, 2.414. Similarly, we can calculate the value of CP also using Q and PR into TP divided by 2.78, right? So for this, first we need to calculate discharge per unit width, discharge per unit catchment area. So we are going to calculate this. So the given discharge is 50 and the area of catchment is 700. So by this we will get the value of Q and PR, which would be equal to 1 by 14. So this we can substitute here. 1 by 14 into TP is 24.61 divided by 2.78. So this will give us the value of CP, which is 0.632. So now that we know the value of coefficient of CT and coefficient of CP, what we are going to do is we are going to use this same value and we are going to calculate the value of peak discharge and time to peak for watershed B, right? So now we are going to watershed B, and first thing that we are going to calculate is TPR by using the equation of 0.75 CT L into LC of 0.3. So 0.75 CT value is 2.414. Now the length of main stream and the distance between outlet and centroid of the catchment is changing for watershed B. So that value for watershed B is 30 and 15. That value is 120 and 100. So we got the value of TPR as 30.3 hours, right? So this is the peak. Now we can calculate using this thing. The time of rainfall, which is coming to be 5.5 hours, right? So we need to make some correction because the value that they have given is 5. So we are making this correction. So we are calling it as T dash of PR. So we are making adjustment to this value T dash of PR by using the equation TPR minus TR minus TR dash divided by 4, right? So TR dash is the value of synthetic unit hydrograph that is asked us. So that value is 4R, right? So TPR is 30.30 minus TR value is 5.5. TR dash is 4 by 4. So here we'll get the value of T dash of PR, which is coming to be 29.93 hours. So this is the value of basin lag, but now we want to calculate the value of time to peak. So how we can calculate time to peak? Time to peak is nothing but basin time lag plus centroid of effective rainfall, right? So this is 29.93 and centroid of effective rainfall is 4R by 2. So this will give us the value of 31.9. So this is the time of peak for a 4R synthetic unit hydrograph. Now they have asked us to calculate the QP. So the value of QP is 2.78 times of CP by TPR. So 2.78 value of CP is 0.632 divided by TPR is 30.30. So this value is coming out to be 0.058 and the unit for this is meter cube per second times of kilometer square. So if we want to find the overall discharge, so we can find it by multiplying with area of catchment B. So 0.058 multiplied by area of second catchment is 1200 kilometer square. So this will give us the value of peak discharge to be 69.62 meter cube per second. Right. So in this way we can calculate the value of peak discharge, right? So this is all about question number 4. Similarly, we can solve question number 5. If we look at question number 4 and question number 5, the only thing that changes is in question number 5 they are asking us to find the time of rising or time to peak in R, right, for the watershed B, and rest all things will remain same. So how we can do that is, we have already find here this value. They are asking us to find this value. So in question number 5 they have asked us to calculate this value TP, time to peak for a 4R synthetic unit hydrograph, and in question number 4 they have asked us to calculate the value of peak discharge. So we have solved both the question in same solution. So you can try it yourself and check whether you are getting the value of TP as same or not, that is 31.93 hours or not. Right, so this is all about module 5. So in the previous class we started hydrograph analysis. So in hydrograph analysis, firstly we talked about different types of hydrological models based on different functions of time, that is space, time and randomness. Then we talked about different hydrological system and we looked mainly into linear system model. Then we talked about linear system model, like how it is based on two principles, that is principle of superposition and principle of proportionality, right? Then we looked more into storm hydrograph, the characteristics of storm hydrograph and how we can derive unit hydrograph, right? So we have started with unit hydrograph. We have seen the derivation of how we can derive unit hydrograph and how we can find how we can obtain DRH from a unit hydrograph, and then we looked into S hydrograph, right? Then with started like from today's session, we continued with module 5. Firstly, we looked into unit hydrograph based on different duration, right? So we talked about two different ways that how we can derive the unit hydrograph of dr duration, right? First was by using principle of superposition and proportionality, and another was by using S hydrograph method. So how we can do by both the things? Firstly, by using by applying principle of superposition, we are just going to take lag of n hours, and then we are going to take the sum of each lagged hours with the dr unit hydrograph, and it will give us n times of dr unit hydrograph. Whereas for S hydrograph method, we see like first we need to derive the ordinate of first we need to derive SA ordinate and SB ordinate. So what is SA and SB ordinate? SA ordinate is the ordinates where the ordinates for time at 0, like there is no time lag when the t is 0, and SB is the ordinate of S hydrograph and there is a time lag of TR. When we know the value of SA and SB ordinate is, we can take the difference of SA and SB and we can calculate the value of DRH of unit hydrograph. And once we know the value of DRH of unit hydrograph, we can divide it with excess rainfall value. Here the excess rainfall value is in terms of intensity, so we have to divide it with terms of T by D. That will give us the value of unit hydrograph of different rainfall duration using S hydrograph, right? Then we talked about instantaneous unit hydrograph. We know the basic difference between instantaneous and unit hydrograph is the input function. For unit hydrograph, the input function is a pulse function, right? That is, there is an input for a particular time period, that is 2 hours, 3 hours, right? But when we talked about instantaneous unit hydrograph, the input function changes. So for instantaneous unit hydrograph, the input function is the impulse function, and we know that the impulse function is for any instant time tau, right? So that we have seen in previous class when we were studying linear system model. So for instantaneous unit hydrograph, the thing that changes here is the time period changes. The time is at any particular instant time, that is, which will be very small. Then we talked about the relationship between instantaneous unit hydrograph and S hydrograph, right? Then we looked into Nash model, like how Nash model can be used to derive instantaneous unit hydrograph, right? So we have seen the derivation of this equation, which is the generalized form, which can be used to derive output, that is runoff generated into any nth reservoir, right? Then we talked about synthetic unit hydrograph. So one of the important hydrograph is synthetic hydrograph, which is having application when there is no gauge data available in the catchment. So what we can do is we can take the hydrological characteristics of a catchment which is having some gauge data, and it should be nearby to the catchment which does not have any gauge data, right? So using the hydrological characteristics of catchment A, we can derive the constant CT and CP, and we can apply those constant to our required catchment where there is no gauge data available, right? So this is how the application of synthetic unit hydrograph is there. There are 3 types of synthetic unit hydrograph. So we have talked about Snyder synthetic unit hydrograph, we have talked about SCS dimensionless synthetic unit hydrograph, and also we have seen Nash model. So firstly we talked about Snyder synthetic unit hydrograph. So how does synthetic unit hydrograph that was proposed was Snyder's work? It is dividing the required unit hydrograph with the standard, right? So the standard unit hydrograph is firstly whatever hydrograph is given to us, which is available with us. We need to check whether it is of standard form or not. So that standard form is checked by the equation of Tp is equal to 5.5 times of Tr. That is, the basin time lag is equals to 5.5 times of duration of rainfall or not. If this equation is satisfied, we can say that the available or required unit hydrograph is of standard form, right? Then we have 2 equations to calculate Tp, and we have equation to calculate Qp, given if we have the value of Cp and Tp. So if we have this value, we can calculate peak discharge and basin time lag Tp, right? But what, let us say we don't have this value of Ct and Cp, we want to calculate it. So how we can do that is, first we'll check whether the unit hydrograph is of standard form. If it is of standard form, we can use the equation of Tp and Qp in order to calculate the value of coefficient of Ct and coefficient of Cp, right? Since now that we have calculated the value of Ct and Cp, now what we are going to do is we are going to take this Ct and Cp value and we are going to apply it to that catchment where we don't have any gauge data. So again we are going to check whether the unit hydrograph is of standard form. If it is not of standard form, like here, so we can make some correction to the Tp. So that equation is 22 by 1, 22 by 21, and we can use this equation, and again we can calculate Ct and Cp when the condition is not satisfied, right? Now that we have the value of Ct and Cp, we can calculate the value of discharge and time base for the catchment where we don't have any data set, and also we can calculate the width of hydrograph using equation W is equal to Cw QPR, where Cw is the coefficient which changes with respect to the width. So for 75 percentile it is 1.22, and for 50 percentile it is 2.14. So this is all we have seen in today's class, and also we have seen the numericals based on each of the example. We have seen numerical based on how we can derive unit hydrograph based on different duration using method of superposition as well as method of S hydrograph. Then we have seen numericals for instantaneous unit hydrograph by using Nash model, and also by using how we can derive unit hydrograph and DRH from instantaneous unit hydrograph, right? Then we have seen numerical based on synthetic unit hydrograph on both the approaches, that is by Snyder's method and also dimensionless SCS dimensionless curve. That is how we have used this we have seen this numerical also, which is based on SCS dimensionless synthetic unit hydrograph. Then also we have seen the practice questions. Like this practice questions are similar to those that are there on the assignments. So we have seen all these five numerical also. The first three equations are numericals are same. Only thing that is, they are here in the first numerical they are asking us to find the time to peak, and for the same basin they are asking us to calculate the peak discharge, and also they are asking us to calculate the base time, right? So the first three questions are connected. Similarly, question 4 and 5 is also connected, right? In question 4 they are asking us to calculate the peak discharge, whereas in question 5 they are asking us to calculate the time to peak. So we have seen the solution for both of them in the same sum as the same numerical problem. We have calculated the peak discharge, and also we have calculated the time to peak. So this is all about today's class. That is, we have covered the module 5, that is hydrologic analysis, and in the next class, that is in next week, we are going to start with module 6, that is based on probability in hydrology, right? So this is all about today's class. I will conclude here, and we will meet again in next week with the next module on probability, hydrological probability.